Okay, live on Facebook and live on YouTube. All right. So let's put our little intro on. We'll come right back. Sorry about the late start. We had problems again with Zoom. We won't be using them very long, much longer, like maybe not even tomorrow. So that's cool. All right. So let's put our intro on, allow people time to come in. If these shows resonate with you, please share. We would appreciate it. How's it going, everybody? We got a special show. We've only got 2 productions scheduled for today. I had an engagement on another platform that didn't go through, so we weren't able to broadcast this morning. But we've got a special show right now with some folks that have been hanging out in the YouTube room. It's a couple. So we're going to be talking about Helios Gamos, Divine Union. Also going to be talking about their personal experience. I don't usually read intros, and they didn't send me an intro, not an official intro, but they sent me a message when we first connected, and I want to read it because it explains a lot about who they are and what they're all about, and that way it'll give us a backdrop. So anyway, I'm probably going to get the names wrong. But let's see. So this is a note. I'm just going to paraphrase the parts, bring out the parts that we want to put out there. Let's see. We'd like to introduce ourselves to you. Our names are Geraldine Freimark, she goes by Mesau, and her gorgeous other half is Mark Goff, who goes by Esau. We came across your soulogy YouTube videos in your day-long twin flame interviews on Lionsgate. And let's see. And even though, of course, we resonate with the collective interviews, we were completely drawn into the raw conversation between you two and the powers of love. A little backstory for us as a whole. Me and mine met in 2018. And with the first physical union came a 4-month Kundalini experience that flipped our world inside out, outside in, upside down, wrong side right, and right side left. We were fast-tracked into oblivion, and as a present, we were living in the woods, refusing to feed a will we had been led to see we ourselves are meant to break. That day of your interviews, we connected to you in such a way, and everything that Morgan has been able to channel about sexual and sacred alchemy, our lives became a mirror image of. We became the image of how separate creation, not co-creation from oneness, started chaos in the beginning and had to transmute it all and try to even begin to understand our truth, let alone divine truth. Let's see. And then they make another comment that maybe we won't feel so crazy having someone to swap knowings, unknowns, sure's, not sure, and beautiful co-created stories with. All right. So yeah, very cool. Very cool. And I'm glad I read that. Gives us some something to work off of. Welcome, everybody. So let me pull them up on the screen and let them explain to me, first of all, how badly I mispronounced their names. All right, let's see. Here we go. Okay. Let's see. Start video. Hello.
Hi.
How's it going? Let's see. Y'all, do you have a mic? What is that? Can you?
Well, yeah, I got this. If you can't hear us, all right.
Yeah, I can't hear you. I mean, I can hear you very faintly. I think if you plug it in, I mean, Morgan and I have to do that. We'll put one in one ear and one in the other. You should be all right.
Yeah, hold on 1 second.
Oh, yeah, much better. Much better. You're good.
You can hear us okay like
You
that?
can hear us like that just fine?
Yeah, we can hear you like that. Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah. So it's a pleasure to meet y'all. I know you've got some big, giant etheric balls to be out there doing what you're doing.
This is our first time too, so.
Yep.
Oh, it's your first time.
Video.
Oh,
Yeah.
good. A lot of people have, come out on this show, and it's an honor always when they do. Most of the time it's an individual, and most of that time it's a feminine as they're stepping up. That power is stepping up in all of us. I'm really intrigued by your whole story. I mean, you guys are you're engaging the energy, which in my opinion is what expands the energy. There is no in between anymore. There's no middle ground.
No.
But you're, like a few other people I know, actually taking it to what the human perception might call the extreme. But
Right.
you talk about Helios, you talk about the co-creative abilities and realities that are surfacing and expanding on the earth. And a lot of that's being done through divine unions. And I know that you guys have some serious intel, and there's a lot to talk about. So we'll jump into it since we got a late start. But we got plenty of time. We don't have anything else starting for an hour and 45 minutes. So we're good.
Okay.
So first of all, tell us, how did you guys come together? How did that happen?
We met at work.
Yeah, it was actually, what had happened is his face came across my Facebook, and he looked like a friend of mine. And actually at that time I was married, kind of like looking toward a divorce or separation. Come to find out, he was actually working where I was working for the last week.
Yep.
That was in like January of 2018.
So you were working at the same place and you didn't know it, and you noticed him on your Facebook.
Yep. Yep. And what's really funny is, come to find out, a week before we met, I'm an Aries, which is the ram. He's a Leo, which is lion. He went to a Rams and Lions game. And the quarterback's name, my nickname is JJ. And the quarter,
Jared Goff.
So you got JJ Goff.
Whoa, you can't make this shift up, can you?
No.
No, you can't.
And it originally, it was so like outside what we like our conditioning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it scared the hell out of us.
Yeah, it was
for a while.
It hit us so hard when we met. I guess we were friends. We were both drawn to each other like crazy. And we were friends for about 3 months.
About that.
Kind of just wanting to get to know each other, and then we wound up taking it to the next level.
There was like this strange draw that like I have to know this person.
Mm-hmm.
I have to know this person.
So who busted the move?
I did.
Yeah.
Well, this is what's happening though, man. The feminine's leading the way. The feminine energy is leading the way.
I did. I was just in a place to where everything I felt for him, I knew was true, and I wanted to find out more. So that's when we wound up getting that hotel room, and it was the next night. I was laying on my stomach. It was like 5 o'clock in the morning, and I had this electric pressure at my tailbone. It woke me up, and it was so intense, it scared me, and it's like it shot out, and it went up each 33 vertebrae all the way to the crown of my head. And mind you, I was raised in a religious background, so I didn't understand what a kundalini was or any of it. But once it got to the crown of my head, this euphoric explosion happened, and I seen the most beautiful set of eyes blink at me twice. And from that point on, for about 4.5 months straight to the end of that summer, about September, I was getting energy downloads that were knocking me to my knees. I started knowing things that I shouldn't know.
Just a vast amount of information just pouring in.
Pouring in, yeah.
Wow.
And a lot of it at the time, like, really made no sense.
No,
Like, it didn't.
Yeah, we were
It
trying
was
to.
so outside what you're taught or led to believe as growing up
Yeah,
Yeah.
that
it just threw us for a loop.
Yeah.
It tore-
The conditioning in itself suppresses that energy.
Yep.
So you guys unlocked it. You
Yeah.
found the key to your lock, no pun intended, and then it just started. One of the things that's really coming out with these relationships is the intimacy aspect. Like everything changes. I mean, the definition of every word seems to change after you have experiences like this. But you guys came together. You came together with a lot of time spent getting to know each other, and then you had an intimate experience, and then everything blew up. Has your intimacy changed in terms of, like, I guess the way I would put it is we all had an idea of what we thought it was, and as these relationships are starting to show, it's becoming something we never even dreamed of, which includes what you're talking about, includes the dimensional experiences, the downloads,
Yeah.
apparitions. I mean, just all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, it's
what's
more.
it been?
It's like
Yeah.
from what you're.
it's so much more than just a physical
Physical.
experience.
Yeah, it touches every aspect of your soul, every aspect when it comes to you spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically. And you're not just saying intimacy isn't just a good feeling, it comes
Yeah.
with all the bad as well. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Bringing all that bad to light. So
Yeah.
it's like having to go through that for the last 2 years, 2.5 years now. It's been.
Y'all have been
pretty-
together 2.5 years now.
Huh?
You've been together 2.5 years now.
Yep.
Wow. And so I'm just curious, where are y'all located?
Northern Lower Michigan.
Lower Michigan. Okay. And you're living out off the grid. You're
We
living
are.
off-
Yep. We decided to come out into the woods. I had an experience the end of June. We were separate for we have been back and forth through, because it's not very pretty.
We'll talk about that.
The
Yeah.
trigger aspect.
The trigger aspect
terrible
isn't
at times.
very pretty.
And for the longest time, we didn't handle it so well.
No. But
It was really weird having somebody that could hurt you, like being that vulnerable with somebody. Like that was new to both of us.
Yeah.
But yeah, loving that person so unconditionally, it was.
Mm-hmm. That was the other thing that was like, no matter.
It was like
there's been
push and pull.
times where we weren't very good to each other.
Yeah.
But after like that initial like hurt or anger went away, there was nothing but love. Like
Yeah. You just keep going. You keep returning to love, right?
Yeah. It pure
love.
forgiveness.
It's good to hear and soak in your energy as you're talking about this, because so many people have the misconception. We don't use the term twin flame, Morgan and I. We're conscious divine partners, and we just take it one day at a time. But so many people have a misconception that, I met my twin flame and everything is going to be perfect from here. And you're like, no.
That's what we said too.
There are absolutely, it is perfect. It is perfect.
It's wholly perfect.
But
it's
it
wholly
is
perfect.
just as perfect on this end of the pendulum as it is just as perfect on that end of the pendulum.
It's a very humbling experience or journey or evolution. And it's also, there's something about the two people, like you just put it so well. You're in this total state of vulnerability, at least you think you are. And then you just keep finding these layers and layers through the interactions that you have, which is never them, it's always me. And that makes it kind of complicated. And those loops that play, in your head, like, why did he do this? And why does she do that? And why didn't he do this? And why didn't she do that? And then we always get led back to ourselves. And I want to ask you about the separations, because we've had them. we've had them energetically. We weren't together for the first 17 months. Then we were together 10 weeks and apart 9 months, and then together 12 weeks and apart 4 months. And then, you know, so there was, even when times when we've been together, we energetically can separate. And you just know to do it as time goes on. And it does seem to be getting smoother and smoother and smoother. But we have found that the separation, and I'm looking at the clock, it's 5:55 in New York. But we've learned to understand that the separation is a very healthy thing, as an individual can pull their energy and their aspects back into themselves, kind of reestablish their individuality, and then go back into it. What's it been like for y'all?
Well, when we did meet, like I said, I was married at the time. It was a very broken marriage that I was trying to get out of. So when I had that Kundalini experience, when I woke up from that, at the time, my husband was actually sleeping separate from me. He was on the couch for quite a while. We were trying to figure things out. And when that Kundalini happened at 5 o'clock in the morning, I felt the need to get up. And finally, I had the guts, you know what I mean, to sit here and say, you need to go. It's time. Like, it's time to go.
Yeah.
So that was when Mark first came in, to where it got like really serious. But then there was like layers of guilt, how I shouldn't, obligation, how I shouldn't have ended this marriage like that. I had kids involved, you know what I mean? So a few months later, I winded up doing a back and forth thing for a good year. You know what I mean? Just because each time I went back, it was like a deeper truth it hit it, you know what I mean? It was another layer that I not only seen to myself, you know what I mean, but I seen to our, you know, like co-creation, the things that we were causing, the chaos.
Yeah.
So we had 5 separations.
I think so.
5 separations. We trigger each other. It's like we fast tracked our healing.
Yeah.
We
That's
trigger
exactly
these
what,
dark
that's exactly
shadows.
what, yeah.
Yep,
That's
we
exactly what
triggered
these
dark
couples,
shadows so intensely, and we didn't know exactly how to handle them at the time. We didn't know exactly how to communicate, and so we'd run or we'd walk or space the other way, you know what I mean? And then we'd realize, wait, I love him more than.
It seemed like at times, like, our connection was better in separation than it was in union.
We found the we.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah, almost like the human self has to go off, and kind of go into alignment with the rest of the aspects.
It's kind of when you get back together, you still have that 3D distortion that you guys are still working on. You know what I mean? It's
insecurities and different fears and things like that.
But when you're separate, you got more.
All that stuff's gone.
Yep.
Yeah.
So then when you sit and think on it, there's just the love. There's nothing else.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it doesn't make sense, does it? I mean, it's just like, which is a great.
No, our family thinks we're nuts.
Yeah, and it's really not fair to
join the
anybody
club.
else.
Join the club, but I can tell you too, as time goes on, there seems to be more acceptance, whether they are overt about it or covert about it. But that's been my sense, and now we've been together going on 5 years in September, or that's when we met. But yeah, I love what you're saying too, because it is at both times, it's an individual mirror of what everybody's doing, but it's also you got two energies in there that are actually more of an enhanced mirror. And I think one of the big things is the projection. You know, we think we know what projection is. We think we know when we've got a bead on ourselves, and and we've got a clear understanding of, who we are, what we do, what we don't do. And then you have these episodes like you're talking about, and you really find out a lot about yourself.
Yeah, they're intense. I mean, to see those dark shadows in yourself, and how you react to certain things, and how you act just based off of fear, just based off of insecurity. And to have that right there in your face, you know what I mean? When you spend your entire life either blinded to it or conditioned to think a certain way, but now all of a sudden you're like, wait, instead of pointing my finger over there, why am I doing this? You ask yourself a lot of whys. Why did I just act that way? Why was my tone of voice that way? Why? I mean, it just floods you with this information.
Why are my convictions so rigid?
Yep.
And I guess that's where I'd go with it. This is new territory.
Mm-hmm.
I'm learning as we're talking right now. But so as for instance, have you found that as time's gone on in this 2.5 years, that you've had moments of, well, I'll put it this way. Have you found that you've been able to open up more and more as a result of finding out more and more about yourself? Do you hold anything back?
No, the
No,
communication's definitely gotten
like almost 100%.
stronger and stronger and stronger as time goes on. At first, there was quite a bit of little dark corners and shadows
that were hidden.
but everything slowly comes out. By now, I mean, there's pretty much
nothing there.
Did you ever find yourself in a situation, like, I think this would be good for people, even people that are not in a direct relationship? Did you ever like, how do you handle, I can see it in him or I can see it in her, something they can't see in themselves? You see what I mean?
Me, I'm pretty blunt, I guess you would say. I'm very, you know what I mean? If I see something, I say it, and usually I don't sugarcoat it too much when it comes to him.
No, you're far from Willy Wonka.
What's that?
Said she's far from Willy Wonka.
Him, on the other hand,
she's not going to tiptoe through the tulips, right?
Right. He more so kind of sits back, and he gives me space to kind of figure it out.
Like, I'll bring it up, but
then
until they see it, there's really nothing you can do about it.
I get it. Yeah.
So, I mean,
but you can.
But
yeah, I mean, you can. This is intriguing because I can see the dynamics, and you're like a microcosm of it, right? I mean, you're really playing out what's going on in the collective energetic field. But I wonder because, okay, so first of all, the feminine energy has been suppressed. The voice was suppressed, right?
Yeah.
And the masculine energy did all the talking, basically, right?
Right.
So now you have a situation where you're birthing this new code through these types of unions. And I can see where the feminine, because Morgan's the same way. She'll spit it straight out, and she's not Willy Wonka either. And it's just boom. Yeah. And then I can kind of relate to what you're saying in that I may or may not say anything. And I love what she said. And that is that he just kind of allows you to flow and it all kind of aligns in time. You know what I mean? It's weird. I've noticed that. I've actually noticed that, and I'm very comfortable with it as I've gotten into it and understood it more. At first, I think my distorted masculine was fighting it. Did you go through that type of thing?
Very much so. Because you want that. You want that control. Like you gotta
fix it.
Yep. Right now.
Fix it.
Yep.
Yeah. Look past the emotion. Oh, what's the problem? Here's the answer. See you later. Now, what's your problem if you're not?
And the feminines more so, they don't want to be fixed. They want to be heard.
That's
you know what I mean? They want that the appreciation that they feel like has been suppressed from them. But okay, that's a double-edged sword.
It is.
Because they have been suppressed for so long, they take almost like a victim stance at some point, and they use that victim stance and that perpetrator stance to kind of
to manipulate,
and then they use it for it's a double-edged sword when it comes to, you know what I mean, dealing with those types of energies.
Well, and I think it just goes to show you that I'm a big believer that we're not returning to the original blueprint or the original template. I believe we're working off
completely unknown.
Yeah.
Well, that's what when I wrote you that letter over that email. So it's like with everything that my life became, not only with, my other half here, my counterpart, but even with that third party, my ex-husband,
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's like my whole life, and I'd get download after download of becoming the image of how like everything was created in the first place. Because if you would like imagine, so you got the everything and nothing, and to experience self, it had to split.
Yeah.
Okay, so it split into that masculine and that feminine energy, and together they co-created something beautiful. But then there was a veil that was placed over because the feminine aspect created out of herself, basically without
without the mask.
without
Yeah.
the masculine, and out of that became a distorted version, mirrored version of what the feminine is.
Yeah.
And that fell underneath a veil, and that was created out of ignorance. And through that ignorance, a whole lot of chaos was created. But what's happening with Source, what's happening with that divine father and mother, is they're becoming aware. It's almost like getting
Yes.
lost in your own game for a minute, and then
Yes.
waking up to the fact that you're in your own game. And it's waking up to the fact that the ignorance is something that has overrun the awareness part of it. And that's why there is so much what we call evil, which I don't really call evil. You know
Yeah,
what I
I
mean?
get
The
you.
light
I
and the
get
dark,
you.
it's all needed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's all balanced out, but it's what created the chaos in the first place in the cosmos, and
Right on.
it turned into this 3D matter.
Right on. And I'm looking for something you said to what you're saying now in that little message. So, and you said the same thing, and it struck me. And now that you came back to it, I just want to find it real quick. Oh, here it is. So here it goes. We became the image, capitals, of how separate creation started chaos. Separate creation, which is what you're describing, that the basically half of the cell or half of the soul,
Split.
thinking it's all in of itself,
Yeah.
goes and creates something,
Without
and
the
vice versa. Yeah.
Mhm.
Because I was thinking about this recently in the last couple of days, as because it's such a deep rabbit hole,
Yeah.
and it just keeps going,
Yeah, it
and
gets scary at
It
times.
does. It does.
which is a good thing. It's not a bad.
Yeah.
And I thought, and of course, we're always trying to bring it into words and and rationalization, and so I said to myself, or I heard, you if you can't, and this is not the way it came in, but I'm just going to try to put it in layman's terms. Your oneness with everything in the collective starts with her. Because if you can't have oneness with the truest mirror to you, you can't have oneness with anyone.
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost like I can't love the universe more than I love myself.
Right.
So as I'm laying there next to her and I'm going, okay, this is getting to the point where I'm starting to get some, see, touch, feel into to oneness. It's becoming like a physical thing. That's the way I can put it. Like a lower sense, like the five senses. It's becoming a lower sensical type of thing, and that's how it came in. But it goes in line with what you're saying about the separate creations, which in reality, if you break it down that simply, that's just the opposite of co-creation.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yep. And through that veil, through that ignorance, a lot was created that the creator thought was, but the mirror was already inverted at that point.
right on.
You know what I mean? But then so you imagine a spiral. So the masculine and the feminine had these spirals coming from source, and they just keep getting bigger and bigger till now we're down here at the bottom of it. Okay, like the rock bottom of it. So now you have to go back up the spiral, heal everything that separated you and kept you separate in the first place to get
Mm-hmm.
back to that full union. So that's what the purging is about. You have to be able to see and feel everything that kept you separate from that unconditional love of the divine mother and the divine father in the first place, because you're all a fractal aspect of it.
Wow.
It's a lot.
And then you get back to the all this stuff comes in, and then you gotta, well, I don't say you gotta, and then you step back out into the world, or you got to be human again. You got to do human things. And even if whether you're, living in a house for the first time in 3.5 years together in Arkansas, or living in the woods in southern Michigan, you still got the human part of it. And speaking of that, you guys are out there in the middle of paradise. Some people would say the middle of nowhere. I say it's paradise.
It is. It's absolutely safe. People say, well, you're home. You're choosing to be homeless. It's like, I'm not homeless.
I'm a nomad.
I feel more at home here than I ever have in a building.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I refuse to take a step forward and feed the wheel anymore. And
we're tired of the jobs where it takes all our energy, make somebody else way more money than I make, and then I don't have the energy to build or
my
do
life.
Anything that I need.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we're so conditioned to believe that that's a normal. You know what I mean? That this is a normal way of living, and it's not. You know what I mean? To sit here,
how simple you can be and be blissfully happy.
Yeah. Less is more.
Yeah.
Less is more. And what about like, with you guys stirring up that kind of energy and being in a place like you're in, I would think that you would be having more and more enhanced encounters of the universal, whether it be apparitions or knocks on your door.
You talk to aliens quite a bit.
Do what?
I used to talk to aliens quite a bit, is what he said. But no, on June 28th, while I was out here during our separation, I had this, this immense, I'm sitting out here by myself, sitting by the campfire, and I look down at my feet, and all of a sudden my feet turn into his feet, and then my hands turn into his hands, and like his eyes were behind my eyes looking out at the fire. His curls in front of his hair were my curls in front of my hair. Like, we literally synced into one human being.
It's like emerging. You merged.
Yeah.
Well, or maybe it was or maybe it was a physical, because of so much of this all happens in the energetic field, and then at some point it takes on a physicality. And I can relate too, because I know there's times that we've been apart and I'm there. Like I used to tell her when we first met, like I said, we didn't actually come together in the physical for 17 months. And I can remember, I remember this one time, like 90 days into our, we met, everything took off. We're talking every day. It was very pure. And then something happened. And I remember going out, because I used to walk a lot. I went out for a walk and I was like, I'm done. I'm done with that. And then her face would just come in my face and just stay there. And I'd be like, what is this? Why doesn't it go away? And it's like, it can't, you just can't do it. It's not going to happen.
Like, the harder you try to push away, the more you get hit on the
more
head.
It comes in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, so we tried that too.
Yeah. It doesn't work.
Like, it hurt. Oh my God, that hurt. And like, real hurt, not like
ow,
like real pain. Like, we
never allowed anybody to.
Nobody ever had that power ever in my life.
No,
ever.
And it's like every time you come back together, you have a huge jump. There's a huge leap, right?
And we definitely feel it.
Yeah.
We feel like this timeline shift. We feel this energy that kind of encircles us and brings us closer together. Like, it's when we're separate, it's more like that. It's up in the ethereal. And if I had any doubt prior to that, which I shouldn't, because of all the synchronicities in our 2 years, there should be no doubt whatsoever of what we are. But because I doubted me, I doubted us. You know what I mean? It becomes whatever's going on inside of me, I project onto what's going on here, and I either push or pull away, depending on the fact. But after the 28th, after whatever that was, like, because what it was is I had this huge, it was a yellow energy ball, I guess, that was sitting in the woods, and it was floating. I thought I was seeing things, and then all of a sudden it went woof. And when it did that, it was like the energy started from the ground, came all the way up, and I was him. It was absolutely nuts.
Wow. Amazing. Absolutely
Yeah.
amazing.
When I first started, it was before the first physical union, because before that first physical union, there's certain things that kind of draw or spiral in, you know what I mean, before that first meet. And like I said, I came from a religious background, so none of this really made sense to me. I started getting into meditation, and I was meditating about a month before we met, and I thought I had fallen asleep, but I didn't fall asleep. But I had a vision of me as a little girl with pigtails, about 5 or 6 years old, sitting in front of me now, Indian style. When I looked through the right eye of me as a little girl, there was these matrix green binary numbers falling. Out of those binary numbers, a certain number highlighted. It was 00101110. When that number highlighted, it woke me up automatically. I'm really bad with numbers, but I remembered it. So I put it into Facebook, and all of a sudden, all this stuff starts popping up about light workers and awakening codes. And I'm like, what is going on?
Wow. Wow. Far
Yeah.
out. And so, and what about like this whole, you know, just getting off the grid thing? Are you guys, are you conscious of the timeline, of the linear timeline? Are you losing time?
It,
Uh,
it's hard to keep time out here.
We lose days here and there out here.
Yeah, because
which
we refuse to work a 9 to 5 job right now. We are kind of maintaining on income we had saved, and you know what I mean. Just
trying to do everything more off like the barter system,
yeah.
kind of.
We
Yeah.
like if we have a skill to help you, can you help us? Type thing.
Because we do have a really bad feeling about like society going down.
Well, in the next 6 months, it's gonna get kind of nuts.
You think so?
I
Yeah.
do.
I think
it
it's,
needs to
yeah.
I think it needs to happen. I don't think it's a bad thing.
No, just
I
like
don't.
bad and it seem bad.
But
and
I'd
Yeah.
rather be out in the woods when anything goes down than.
Yeah. It's so hard to tell. You know, I remember seeing like 10 days ago from someone I think is pretty credible, who's got some pretty unique information. And they came out and said they talked to somebody else who was in the military, special ops, and that there's going to be martial law over the weekend, and Trump's flying out on a plane, and he's going to be, you know, out of sight. And you know, last year was the solar flash. Everybody was predicting it's going to happen in this month, and then that month, and then the universe delayed it a month, and you know, bullshit. You know,
See, when it
just
comes
like
to predicting, like that, I don't think I can. It's not
can't
predicting
really
a certain thing
predict
or
it.
what's going to happen. It's an energy.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
you feel
Yeah.
this chaotic, distorted energy coming, or it's right
Yeah.
around the corner.
Like she
Yeah.
called when all this COVID stuff started. She's been saying since we met back in 2018
Something's
that the start of
big's
2020
gonna
something
happen.
big was going to screw the world up.
It was going to
Yeah.
knock
She
the
didn't
world
know
on
what.
its
She
ass.
didn't know when.
I didn't know where it
Exact.
came
She knew it was
from.
going to be the beginning of 2020 and it was going to mess the whole world up.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
lo and behold,
Everyone got knocked on their butt.
Yeah, Morgan's very similar to that. As I find talking to these couples, the feminine seems to always be the transmitter. But I remember when it all started, we were in Florida expecting to be hitting the road, and then we got stuck there as you know, we had the quarantine. But I remember 3-4 weeks into it, she just came out one morning. She goes, do you realize what a huge gift, what a great job we all did to create this? And then if you really look at the energetics, it's the perfect situation, because
Yeah.
it is bringing stuff up to the surface, because everything has so dramatically changed in terms of our typical patterns of behavior, you know, going to work, and you know, kids going to school, and being able
comfort
to
is the enemy of progress. We all got comfortable in it. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So you get lost in it. So it needs to be shaken up. It needs to be these, like cutting down a tree. You need to see the root to be able to cut it down. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You got to unbury the root to be able to completely cut that tree down. It's
Yeah.
just these things need to be purged, and it just has to happen. But it's not an end to something. It's a beginning
It's a
to
birth.
something. Yeah, it's a birth. It's a beginning to something absolutely beautiful around the corner.
Now, have you guys had any like mutual, and this is probably a dumb question, but like mutual dimensional experiences, or or just experiences that are a little bit beyond the five senses, let's just put it that way, that you both are seeing, touching, feeling the same thing? You know what I mean?
Well, we both had the alien thing.
Yeah, we both had
meditation.
In meditation. We both seen, because I had during that Kundalini, I had Pleiadian help, these light beings help. Well, they went away for about a week, and I felt like a lot of interference, a lot of block, and I was trying to figure out what was going on.
And this was when we first got together, so I kind of thought she was a little bit crazy telling me that she was talking to aliens. But then we were laying there meditating one night, and I was like, I seen us, like, we were sitting on the porch at the house we were staying at, and out of the right, from like behind me, out of the right came like this 1950s style like movie air UFO thing,
this
like
is in
into
his
my
meditation.
vision, in my meditation. And it just kind of comes wobbling in. And as soon as that happened, she just rolls over and she's like, "Honey, my alien friends are back." What?
Yeah, it's like, or 5D thing, you know what I mean? When we were separate and that thing happened on the 28th, he didn't so much feel what I felt, but he said he felt like he was a kid on Christmas. He couldn't sleep.
I was giddy, up all night, excited.
I think when it comes to like the ethereal and that, I'm a little bit more in tune with it. He feels it.
Yeah.
You can definitely feel it. You know what I mean? Or
she can tap into it better.
I can tap into a little better.
I think now I'm just thinking about this because Morgan was just kind of restating it, reviewing it with me a couple of days ago. And I can't remember the particulars right now because I'm not in my 3D short memory mind, but I remember her telling me specifically that on the 28th, this information came in. Now, it wasn't exactly like what you're talking about, but you know, I know that energy presents itself to each one of us. The universe communicates to each one of us in a unique way. But that seemed to be every time you said the 28th, I was like, something went up. The hair on the back of my neck stood up, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute, something really big happened then. And actually, this whole summer has been, I mean, like since June 1. I mean, have you guys experienced that over the last 10 weeks? I mean, it's been like, you know, we went, you know, and people talk about, oh, we're no longer in linear, we're in quantum. But to me, really, this summer seemed like something changed hugely. Like even when you walk outside, everything just looks different. The mat's different.
Brighter, you know, it's just more, I don't know if it's you being connected to it or it's connecting to each other. Something's going on to where, I mean, the downloads are definitely more intense this summer. You know, it's almost to the point to where you can't really put words to them. There was a lot of downloads when it came to like the victim perpetrator stance or energies that I winded up getting throughout the last few months. And it almost like coming up and balancing the two out.
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah. But it's really hard to put any type of 3D language onto the energy codes or downloads that you wind up getting. It's
a lot
of
it's so far beyond our like normal comprehension.
What in the hell was that?
A gun.
That was a gun.
That was a gun.
Yeah.
Yep.
So are you guys like out in the middle of a park forest?
We're on
state land. Out by there's a little lake down here.
Yeah.
There's a few other little camp spots.
Nobody bothers you. Everything's cool.
No. Nope, they leave it alone for the most part.
Probably think we're nuts.
Yeah. No, probably do it. They absolutely think we're crazy.
You just threw me off with that gunshot. I was like, whoa.
Yeah, that wasn't. I don't know.
Have you found like, for instance, you know, like from either one of your journeys or both, have you found that the other person and or the relationship itself has brought up to be cleared, like, you know, I want to say like a huge trauma, like in the, you know, category of like one, top 3, top 5 in your life, maybe something you didn't even know about.
Yeah.
Have you found that? How did that go?
But there was a lot of sexual traumas in my past. And there was a lot of sexual addiction in his, you know what I mean? So we both tended to kind of bring that out in each other again, there's goes like the victim and the perpetrator part of it.
Yeah.
But when these things would come out to balance, like I said, at first we weren't able to handle them
At
very
first,
well.
we didn't handle it well at all.
No.
So
No,
like, can you give me an example, or is that too personal?
No,
And the reason I'm saying that, because I can totally resonate with what you're saying.
yeah, let's see. There was a time, okay, so I have definitely been, from the time I was a kid, okay,
Okay.
I have had, sex has been a huge issue of mine.
Yeah.
When it comes to, it was in my family, when it
Yeah.
comes to, it was in my teenage years, you know what I mean? I
Yeah.
was messed with, I was raped, I took
Yeah.
advantage. I mean, sexual things were just, it almost felt like a really huge thing, or all the bad things that could possibly blind somebody. I had to go through and transmute it. You know what I mean?
So you actually, and this is going back to your message. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I got to
No,
say
you're fine.
this for those people that didn't. Your message to me, you connected to Morgan and I, and you said some things that this is actually speaking much louder to me. So I'd put it a different way. Did you, because Morgan's background's exactly like yours.
Right.
And mine's exactly like his.
Right.
Right. In terms of that. And because that energy is the core of our integrated physical, non-physical power, that Kundalini, that, you know, the creativity, it's so important. So you would think that that's got to be the core of the union, the core of integration and balance and all that.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess what you're looking at is you're looking at one side being a little bit apprehensive,
Mm-hmm.
and I understandably why. And then the other side, which is the male, projecting, who's gone overboard. And it's like the two are coming together. You know, I got to the point in my situation very early on, and it took about over 2 years. And that
Mm-hmm.
was, I didn't even know what to do anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, you come out of this old paradigm game as a man and you're a master at, you know, that type of thing. And you know what to do like a robot. And then you take all that away, and what do you got left? You know, I don't know if you felt that way, but
No,
so
yeah, I know exactly what you're saying.
yeah.
It was like when his dark corners started coming out, and because of the trauma in my life, I like told him I'd love him unconditionally through it, but he triggered me in such a way to where even though I did, it pushed me, it like repelled me away. But then once I was repelled away, I realized what was going on. I found the balance in it, and we gravitated more toward each other and in a stronger, firmer stance. And it's when you move on to the future, he realizes, you know, some of the things he did was for his own, you know, sexual gratification and this and that.
To feed ego.
Yes,
But
of course.
when it comes to me, he's like, there would never be any way where I'd want to do any, you know what I mean? Like, there's a difference between play and, you know what I mean?
And I know from the woman's journey, it's got to be different. We've not walked in her shoes, and it's such a you know, huge. I mean, I don't know of anything bigger, you know, because you're talking about a wordless integration or wordless interaction. It's all, and we've had some moments, like for instance, we had a moment where a few months ago where we just laid there together and we just started to kiss, and it went for about 10 or 15 minutes, and it was absolutely mind-blowing. There was nothing else happening, and it was so intense we had to stop because it drained us, you know. And then we've had many other ones, but you know, it's weird because you could actually, so much of the intimacy seems to be atypical. If you took a picture, it could look like something we all came from, you know, like the old sexual intimacy in 3D, right? But if you took a movie, it wouldn't look anything like it. You know what I mean? I mean, it can be from touching hands. It can be I mean, I don't know about you, but I've probably had 1,000 female orgasms run through my body in the last year. You know,
when we got back together this summer, that was something he dealt with like a whole lot.
Yeah,
of
that was a first. Like that was
right.
He's like, how does that even
explain it?
happen?
It was like a 5-minute orgasm without actually having an orgasm.
That's right. That's right.
It was so strange. I'm so glad I'm not the only one now. Yeah,
I'm telling you this. I totally. The first time it happened to us, we were in Hawaii, and so, and it was really the first time we thought we were going to be there forever. I mean, we finally made it. We finally got our own place. We finally made it through all the hard times, or at least to a point where we could take a breath. And we put our hands together, and which is normal, and we laid down side by side. And then she started having waves come through her body. And she started to have, without touch, soulgasms, or whatever you want to call it.
Basically, that's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. And then as I'm sitting there, I'm sitting there, laying next to her, and then all of a sudden it started happening to me, and my legs having an orgasm, and my arms having and I thought to myself, is this what it's going to be like? We just put our hands together and
5D, and it's like the intimacy. Like I got like this huge glimpse into this like 5D level. I don't even know if it was 5D, but where anything negative was shaken off of our spiritual and soul aspects of self. Okay, that eternal aspect, that the 3D matter, the soul matter, and it's the union, the telepathy, the union that is between all aspects of source that is there in that 5D. It's an unconditional, unlimited resource of sacral energy. I mean, it's literally, and it's almost like a constant. It's a constant feeling. So what I think our bodies are getting used to is that because you got to kind of integrate yourself into it.
Yeah.
Because it's intense.
Yes.
So,
but yeah, that makes sense. Like that, we would actually, our natural nature is to be actually walking around in basically a euphoric state, an orgasmic state. You know.
Yeah, it is. It's a lot of sacral creation energy. You know what I mean?
I don't know.
I don't know if you that energy to tap into a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw this show. I think it was Monday, with my friend Eric Rankin. He does the sonic geometry.
Yep.
We've pretty much gone through your entire library.
Yeah, that'd be hard to do. That'd be hard to do, I think. We have to have a lot of time. But anyway, I asked him, and I won't get into his story and all that, but just as a backdrop, he definitely, his specialty or mission, part of his mission is bringing down the sonic geometry and understanding the language of the universe non-verbally. But so I asked him about binary, right? You know, the 1 and the 0, like you're talking about with that code that you got.
Yep.
And the way he went to explain it, which was an incredible explanation, I'm gonna have to edit it out, put it out separately. But he talked about this space in between, that's actually where God exists. That's actually where the creation seed is, or the womb, you know, the holy darkness, or whatever you want to call it. It's not actually the 1 or the 0. It's the space in between where that friction, for lack of a better word, it creates something new. And when you were talking earlier about the chaos, Morgan's talked about that a lot in the last few days. She said, as she's watching, a certain something or looking at the collective, and she's like, this is what happens. The more and more chaotic it gets as it gets closer to the conception of the new creation, right? Mm-hmm. Fascinating. It's good stuff. It's fascinating stuff. So this is awesome. How did you guys find us? You found us on Lionsgate?
Sandra and Alan, isn't that
Sandra and Alan is where we wound up seeing you guys, and then on Lionsgate, which his birthday is a day before Lionsgate. His is August 7th.
And he's a Leo.
Yep, he's a Leo. And 8/8, we decided to kind of sit there. It was a rainy day, so we decided to sit there in the tent. And when we realized that a lot of these twin flame couples were channeling certain things that we were going through or dealing with,
it seemed like at times, like we'd go through something, and then
all of a sudden
sometimes the next day or like within a month, we'd be drawn to a video of another couple
going through the same thing,
channeling and going through what we just experienced.
Yeah. Well, like that thing you were talking about the 28th, and I can't remember the particulars. I can't remember what she was talking about. She was actually receiving what the theme of the month, what was coming up during the month. But I'm really referring more to the energetic part of it. Like she was anchoring that in at that time that you were, right? And and I've noticed that a lot with her. And she pointed out to me, even in her past, where this just happened actually, even like say 10 days ago. She was pulling some stuff in really intense. And then one friend called her and says, what the hell's going on? And the other friend calls her and let me tell you what's happening. And so they're all kind of going, they're all detecting it, you know, at the same time. It's very interesting. I believe that the women are, for the most part, it's the women in the female form. And although that always doesn't line up with the, let's say, the energetic gender, but what I'm saying is it seems like they anchor, you know, like women's intuition. They don't call it man's intuition. So they're already up there, let's say in the higher chakras, and pulling that information in and anchoring it so that it
it's
can
like a
then,
Taurus. If you see the information kind of coming in like a Taurus, you know what I mean? We're capable and able to use our bodies as a vessel that gets this information that just kind of keeps going, and then it feeds back into the collective, and then it keeps going and it keeps going. And that's what's needed to jump over this bridge into the 5D is there needs to be a certain amount of this collective, this energy, this force, this pull to get us there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
have you guys experienced or have any sense of a third energy created by the energy of the two of you?
that's what I was saying earlier, when like you created the female created out of not, say you're co-creating, you split off as source and you're experiencing self and you're creating together, you know what I mean? And then somewhere from what I've gotten so far, something about the feminine was doubting or not feeling like they were enough, or something was happening to this co-creation to where the feminine then said, I'm going to create something outside of myself without him. And by doing that, inverted a mirror. And that's that third energy. That's that, that image that started that whole veil underneath the veil, the ignorance, there's definitely a third energy.
Do you guys feel like you have any specific purposes or missions or anything like that?
Well, we are we're, like I said, we feel like we're here to break the wheel. We don't know exactly how to go about it yet. We are studying Reiki. We are certified
Reiki,
life coaches.
Basically starting like our own kind of little business on that.
And then the goal is to start a small community. You know what I mean? And be able to integrate people for a year or so, get them used to self-sustaining, and then getting them integrated back into society to do the same thing. And that way we're able to co-create these smaller communities and be able to do it, you know what I mean? And
we just bought a brand new truck, and we got a new camper that we're gonna renovate and kind of live out of, and
take it into the
paint it all up all cool, mandalas, and
right on. So like a camper, like a pull along camper, a fifth wheel.
Yep. It's a 75 swinger, Georgie boy swinger, but we're planning on like taking it to, because we don't know where we want to set route at yet. We want to travel first, but to make that extra money or be able to barter, be able to eat, we want to be able to supply like the Reiki, the energy healing, or the life
ideally
coaching.
That's all we're gonna have to do is Reiki, life coaching, tarot readings, things like that. But we're also, I mean, she's a waitress, I'm a cook, I can do carpentry.
So if it comes down to it,
we can go anywhere and make money.
Yeah. I think it's part of the new thing that's happening, you know.
And to show people
that there's another way to
that
live.
There's another way to live life, that you don't have, you know, society don't make sense to so many people,
but they don't know what to do about it.
Yeah.
and they think that they're wrong. You're not
Yeah.
wrong. Like society the majority of society as we know it now it was never meant to be like this.
No.
You don't have to step on the person in front of you to get ahead.
We can all have what we need.
There's
Yeah.
more than enough.
Yeah. It's kind of like what these kids bring to the table now. These young kids that are coming up. It's like, don't do what they tell you. Do what you want.
Yeah.
Do what you want. Be with who you want. Do what you want. Live where you want.
Well,
As long as it doesn't hurt anybody else.
I think like
absolutely.
the generation, because we do have she's going to be 17 next month. The generation of kids that seem to be like
from like 2000
on.
Yeah.
There's like this androgyny feel to them, like they're closer
That's
to
what
that aspect.
did you? That's what Judith Kuzel said on Monday.
Oh,
I don't know if you
really?
saw that show Monday morning, and she said something about, because I asked her about the kids, because she's been plugged in for years, and she said, yeah, something about 1987 with the harmonic resonance, and then she said,
we were born. We were born. We're 33 years old.
There you go. So then she said, she kind of took it back. She didn't take it back. She goes, well, if you really want to get, go to the year 2000, and she used those exact words. She said they're more androgynous.
Well, because if you think about it, so how I said it's like a spiral, right? Mm-hmm. The further we got away from source, the bigger the spiral, and you kind of got to heal. If everything's energy, including, our thoughts or our body, if our generation is now closer to source, the gender here in the 3D isn't making sense to them. It doesn't, because source is androgynous.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It
so when you talk
fully
about gender fluid, or when you talk about you not being able to identify with a gender, I think there is a great explanation for it. It's just we try to make sense of it in this 3D world, and it's not from the 3D.
I'm not sure most of them really know why they're doing it.
Right.
But,
well, that's my feeling with the kids, period, is they can't. You couldn't ask them to explain it.
No.
They're like a tuning.
Because they're trying to make sense of it in a world that it doesn't make sense in.
Yeah.
Where they're getting where that knowing is coming from is not dualistic.
Mm-hmm.
They're not even, and the thing is, I don't think they even doubt the knowing. That's just like the way it is. They're more like their level of influence, I think, is more like a tuning fork rather than, verbalization. But where does that whole alignment with androgyny, how does that affect us as couples?
As couples,
how does that work?
Well, I think everybody has a lot of balancing out to do within themselves of masculine and feminine, whether it be the feminine needing to balance out more of the masculine.
You're trying to like lose, especially as divine counterparts. You know what I mean? Having this line from source that we have, again, that doesn't make sense to us either, but we have been so conditioned. We're 33 years old, so we're conditioned in the roles of what man and woman should be.
Well, I'm only, like 2 years older than y'all, so I'm a little bit more conditioned. But I meant it more like just, and there's been times, especially recently, where as we're merging, which can be, again, just hands being held, we might be embraced, but there's a lot of activity with the higher selves, I guess, and I can feel her feminine. Obviously, I can feel her masculine and her feminine,
Mm-hmm.
and I can see even pictures and I can feel bigger than her, smaller than her. And it's just such an incredible, and I know at the end of the day, it's just the code opening up.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't need to, qualify it or define it or anything.
Right. Or even try to make sense of it. It's like the oneness is coming back, and we've been so separate from that oneness for so long, we forgot what it was like. you know
so just
I mean?
Let go and get the hell out of the way, right?
Yeah, basically, let it do what it does.
Jump into the void.
Jump in the void, into the unknown.
It could be the scariest thing in your life.
Are you guys going to hang out there in southern Michigan in that park for a while, or do you know?
Northern Michigan, we're probably going to hunker down for the
probably
winter
at
time.
least the winter. Like, we got to get this camper. We're going to put a wood stove in it, and
A friend has a piece of property.
Hopefully survive February in a camper in northern Michigan. I don't know.
Oh, you're in northern Michigan.
We're right here.
I know where you're at.
We're the northern lower peninsula.
We're from Gaylord, Michigan.
Okay. So how far are you out of Detroit?
About 4 hours.
Yeah.
North.
Well, anyway, wherever you're at, it's very cold. I know that.
Yes.
Very cold. So.
But we're up. I guess we're up for the adventure.
Yep.
You know what I mean? We refuse.
Well, if you got a house on wheels, you can always head south. You know, the birds.
Exactly.
At some point in time, we probably will.
Yeah.
I mean, at least to travel, maybe not necessarily go stay anywhere.
Yeah.
But like to at least put as many stickers on our little camper as we possibly can. You know.
There you go.
Come visit everybody.
Oh, we'll have to get together again.
Yeah. Definitely.
We'll have to get together again, and don't be shy, and this is very good. So you guys know Sandra and Ellen? Have y'all done a show with them? Oh, you haven't done it because you said this is the first.
We haven't done a show with them yet. Nope, you're our first show.
Oh, we're gonna have to. I'm gonna have to report you to them.
Ellen,
They're always looking for, especially what they call travelers, people that are living like you are, that are in a conscious divine, relationship. Well, it's a pleasure meeting you guys. It's been a big breath of fresh air, no doubt. Very cool.
Tell Morgan we said hi.
I'll tell her. I'm sure she'll see at least part of this, and she'll pick up on it. She always does. Yeah. You guys take care and behave yourself. Have fun, and just keep doing what you're doing. And I look forward to collaborating with you again.
Yes, absolutely. Let us know when our schedule's open.